Right, so this is just going to be a recap of the Manchester City versus Chelsea Champions League final. I was going to upload a video straight after to document the biggest club game in history for Man City, but I thought we were going to win, so that's why I was going to make it straight after, but we lost 1-0 to Chelsea, and I just needed a bit of time to think about what the fuck just happened, what I watched, how we played, and what Pep Guardiola done, and what the Chelsea team done, of course, because they were unreal. It's been about day and a half, 36 hours, give or take, since the game. So I think we might as well just get started with Chelsea, keep it short and sweet with them, because I'd rather talk about Man City than Chelsea, to be honest. I'm sick of hearing the word Chelsea, and I'm sick of seeing Thomas Tuchel on my screen. So you got to give them credit. Chelsea came out there with a plan, and they executed it 100%. They got the win. All the bookies had them as 4-1 in a two-leg race, which was insane, which is why I had a lot of confidence going into this game. No one really had anything good to say about Chelsea, apart from the fact that maybe they could nick a goal from a corner or a set piece or, something like that. Not a good counter-attacking goal, because after the last two losses to Chelsea, everyone knew they were going to come out with five at the back and just counter-attack. It was just plain and simple. That's what they were going to do. So Pep Guardiola thought it was a good idea to just go all-out attack on a Chelsea counter-attacking team that was just going to sit back, knew that Man City was going to have most of the ball. Just sit back, relax, tackle, keep as much stamina in the tank as possible, and then when the time comes, Timo Werner run through the middle, or Kai Havertz in this occasion, run straight down the middle, draw out a centre-back, and then draw out Zinchenko to either come in and have someone out wide, or Zinchenko stay and make a decision, should I run for Kai Havertz or should I stay out wide? Just in case Kai Havertz gets it, I chase him and he whacks it out wide, and then whoever was out on the wing, I forget, could run straight through. But Zinchenko followed Havertz, slower than Havertz. He had a couple legs on him, Havertz. He looks faster than he looks. He's real long, got slender man arms, long legs, real long body, but he's really fast. And if anyone was going to score for Chelsea, Kai Havertz would have been last on my name with Timo Werner. I know this is going to sound weird, but Kai Havertz has just proved his $70 million price tag in one game. Throughout the season, he hasn't proved it. He's been a flop in my eyes, but what he done yesterday was incredible. And Chelsea are forever going to remember Kai Havertz in their history now, because that's only their second European Cup. It's their third Champions League final, but this was the big one. They beat Man City, the best team in Europe. They beat Bayern Munich, who was the best team in Europe, but this is more of an upset, I reckon, than beating Bayern Munich. Yep, five at the back, as I said. I knew they were going to come out with a 5-3-2 or something like that. Just look to counter. And I noticed another weakness that they could have targeted, which they did at the start with John Stones, is we're really bad under the high ball when we're running back. So both Stones and Diaz, a lot of our goals, I'm thinking of one against Leeds, that really exploited us and really got me thinking of this is where it's starting. Whenever the ball goes long and John Stones and Diaz turn their head and start to run back to try and head it back to the keeper, or even just take under control, they always fuck it up, and it usually ends up in a goal 80% of the time. And it nearly happened at the start with John Stones, and he nearly gave away a goal and put, I think it was Timo Werner through for a one-on-one opportunity with Edison. So this game in general could have ended. We should have scored. Sterling should have scored, and if that Mahrez goal would have went in, we would have had 2 goals. But Chelsea would have had at least 3 goals they should have scored. I reckon 4. Pulisic missed one. Kai scored one, so that would have been 2-0. And Timo Werner missed 2 sitters that I would have scored with my weak foot, blindfolded. He kicked his own ankles, and it should have been 1-0 up, and that would have been probably game over from the start. I knew that if Chelsea scored, it would have been so hard for us to come back, even though we're really good at coming back from 1-0 down and keeping the possession and draining our opponents. But I didn't think we were going to win this game if we conceded first. And and they scored first. Good goal by Kai Havertz, 1-0 down, and that's when I thought maybe today's not going to be our year. Maybe and we might not get this goal back. Tuchel read Guardiola like a book. Thomas Tuchel, coming from PSG, got fired for not winning the Champions League, got blamed for not winning the Champions League, comes to a lesser team on paper, around the same sort of net spending as PSG, but PSG's got a way better team, in my opinion, than Chelsea. And he won the Champions League with that team. That was worse. And you saw him, you could see him on the pitch. The last 15 minutes, he was screaming at the fans to get louder, scream Chelsea, scream the song, scream the chants, screaming at the players, screaming at his staff and people on the bench to just rise the team, get them to hold on for this 15 minutes. And they just look never like losing that. Even though Man City was really good in that last 15 minutes or so, I didn't think we were going to score a lot of half-chance opportunities. And just the way that Tuchel was getting the team really into the mindset of this is game time now, last 15 minutes, we're 1-0 up against the best team in Europe. We're going to win this game, and they won the game. In general, Chelsea honestly dominated us the whole game, and I reckon that final 15 minutes was a step back, but even in that last 15 minutes, they defended so well. And that's why I was considering Anthony Rudiger. I think that's his name, Anthony Rudiger. I thought he was going to be man of the match. And then Kai Havertz scored. But then when I really thought about it, I had to give my man of the match to N'Golo Kante. And N'Golo Kante has now won every trophy in England except for the Carabao Cup. He's won a World Cup and he's won a Premier League with Leicester City. I reckon N'Golo Kante has to be recognised now as the best centre defensive mid, in my opinion. Him and Kimmich are the best defending mids or roaming midfielders I reckon I've probably seen in the last 5 years. Kante is the best player in Chelsea. He's the best centre defensive mid in the world. He's won a World Cup as well, which is with France. He has to be a Ballon d'Or winner. Even if he doesn't win a Ballon d'Or, he has to be in the top 3 picks for this Ballon d'Or with Robert Lewandowski and, I don't know, someone else. But, mate, what N'Golo Kante did that game, he was in everything. He was tackling, he was attacking, he was passing, cutting passing lanes, he was hyping his team up, even though he's the quietest guy on the pitch. And he was just an engine. He was running. He's so small, but he's a maniac. He just gets into your feet and just fucking tackles you and tackles you. And he just gets in there, he kicks your feet in you. He likes to get rough and tough and gritty with the big players. And that's why he just catches you off guard. You look behind you like, holy shit, he's right there. And N'Golo Kante won that Champions League for Chelsea, and he deserves that man of the match. Or I don't know who won the man of the match for the Champions League, but if N'Golo Kante didn't get it, he should have got it. And N'Golo Kante for a Ballon d'Or this year, and that's not even a joke. And just to cap it off with Chelsea, you've got to give them even more credit. They've got 2 Champions Leagues now, more than any other club in London. They've won the Europa League, so they've won 2 major European trophies. They've won multiple Premier Leagues, should I say, sorry. And they've won domestic trophies. So they've got one of the richest owners. They're not going to stop spending money. They've overtaken Arsenal, in my opinion, as the best club in Europe. And Chelsea has moved up above Manchester United right now for the best top 3 teams in England. Man City, Liverpool, and then Chelsea. Liverpool, I think, next year will come back fighting. If they have a shit season next year, Liverpool, and Chelsea win some sort of silverware, I've got to say, for the last couple decades, that Chelsea's just proven that they might be just number 2 now and on the par with the project that Man City's got going on right now, with really rich owners, really good team, and just constantly, even on bad seasons, winning trophies. All right, so now we're going to get on to the important stuff. Man City. How I felt coming into the game was really confident. As I said, Chelsea were 4-1 to win in a 2-team game. I honestly thought there was no way we could lose this at all. I knew Chelsea were going to score, but I didn't think they were going to score first and then win. I thought we were going to score, maybe one, they might tie it back, or we score two, they get one back and it finishes 2-1. I thought we were going to win the game 2-1, regardless of scoring two first or, scoring a later goal to win the game. But I thought it would have been 2-1. I thought Mahrez would have scored at least one goal. And I thought, I had to say it in my head, I thought Aguero was going to either start or come on and score. And I couldn't imagine anything better than Sergio Aguero scoring our winning goal, or even a goal to tie the game up and put it into extra time in the Champions League. That would have topped everything in that game if Aguero scored on his final game and won us the Champions League like he said he would. He said he wanted to win the Champions League before he left, and unfortunately he couldn't do that. I was really confident actually until I saw the starting lineup that got put out about an hour before the game. Wow, Pep Guardiola started Raheem Sterling. We'll get Raheem Sterling out of the way because this is the main one that was like, my mind's blown right now. You started Raheem Sterling, a guy that even if he is on good form, still takes 3 to 4 good opportunities to put it in the back of the net. That's at his peak. Now he's taken 5, 6, 7. Sometimes he's not even getting a shot on target in games because he'll get through on goal, take too many touches and flop it, or he'll just fall over his own feet, take a bad touch, or just dribble it straight to the goalkeeper. It's getting out of hand. It's only been happening for this whole season and the last month of last season. And he's been here for 6 years. He's scored 20 plus goals every year except this one pretty much. And you got to put some respect on his name. But mate, last season he was worth $110 million. That's how much he was valued at. He'd be lucky to get sold for 70, 75 million. And that would probably include a swap deal plus cash just to make that 75 million. He's got replaced by Phil Foden, in my opinion, until he gets back into form. But today, you could see why he got played 5 at the back. We needed some pace. Mahrez isn't the fastest. We played De Bruyne up front. He's definitely not faster than Sterling. Sterling and Walker are the fastest in the team. So we needed a bit of pace, but even Aguero's faster than De Bruyne. You should have started Aguero, in my opinion. And sticking with Sterling, that one-on-one opportunity, if he scores that, we win the Champions League. First touch wasn't the worst, but it still was a bad touch. But he put the ball into his weak foot. He doesn't like to shoot on his strong foot early anyways, so there's no way he was going to shoot early with that weak foot and drag it across the keeper. There was no way he was going to have a go at that. And he costed us a goal. It was a beautiful ball, world-class run. Like, he gets in positions. He's like Jesus. They're world-class runners off the ball, but they're shit-class finishes. They're horrible. Second point, Fernandinho. Why are you playing a Champions League final with no centre defensive mid? Even though the defensive mid in our team, Fernandinho, not anymore, Kante's replaced him, but even at 36, I thought Fernandinho was the best centre defensive mid in the world at cutting passes for his age, being able to play full games and just being a leader and just being so consistent over the last decade nearly. I can only name probably a handful of fucking games that he's played bad for Man City in a Man City shirt, and I can only name one in the last 3 years, and that was the FA Cup against Chelsea. And he needed to start. If Fernandinho starts, that goal that Kai Havertz gets cut out. That's where Fernandinho sits. Why are we playing all attacking midfielders in the middle? They aren't dropping back, and even if they do, they're not cutting passing lanes. They're not taking notice of passing lanes. They're not getting in positions to intercept play. We should have put Fernandinho in the middle with Gundogan and De Bruyne, or Silva and De Bruyne, and we should have started false 9 Aguero. It's his last game for starters. 2, he's fit. 3, he's the highest goal scorer, not just for our club, but in Manchester in general, for one club. I can't even talk right now. Why would you not put Aguero on? He scored 2 goals in 6 minutes last game. He could have scored 4. He's looking as sharp as ever. And I just wanted to see him come on for at least 45 minutes, and I wanted to see him score. I wanted to see him leave, even if he played a full game and we lost, leave playing the biggest game in his career, on the last game of his career, and possibly ending it as a fairy tale finish for one of the best careers anyone's ever had, coming from a foreign country into the Premier League, and even just coming into the Premier League in general. I can't name any other striker apart from like Wayne Rooney that has, and Alan Shearer and Harry Kane, that have caught my eye, and I've just gone, wow, this player is, we can't replace this player ever. Like, we'll never replace Sergio Aguero ever. In general, out of 10, this was probably a 6 out of 10 being generous. Probably one of the worst performances in general I've ever seen Man City play this year. We should have kept the same system, 4 at the back, and then just 6 players. Even if we didn't play a striker, we had 6 players to just roam the field, but we had that cover with Fernandinho. I would have kept the back line the same. Zinchenko let the goal in, but he had a good game. He stopped a lot of opportunities for Chelsea to get us on the counter and score, or have an opportunity to score. Edison, brilliant stop, or made himself really big for that Pulisic attempt, and he stopped the second goal going in. Diaz and Stones wasn't their best game at all. Diaz's probably worst game, Stones' worst game this year I've seen, but they still were solid. They still were better than most centre-backs would have performed in that situation, even though they probably played a 7 out of 10 level for both of them. Stones was worse than Diaz for sure. And then Walker was solid but inconsistent the whole night. Couldn't get attacking, couldn't get overlaps going. The balls that were getting whipped in by him were fucking atrocious. And the back line in general, I wouldn't change it, but it could have done a lot better. Midfield, we'll start at the top then, and then we'll do the midfield. So left wing, I would have had Foden instead of Sterling for sure. False 9, Aguero, or even Jesus. And then Mahrez had to play on that right. He's unplayable in this game. He was my favourite player going into this game, and my player to win the Champions League. And then in the midfield, you had to have Fernandinho, you had to have Gundogan, and you had to have De Bruyne, and Bernardo Silva would have just had to come on for either Foden or Gundogan, in my opinion, if we needed that extra attacking bit of close dribbling, flair, assist magnet. So that would have been my starting 11. That starting 11, in my opinion, if we executed the same game plans we done in that 26 consecutive win sort of run, we wouldn't have not got beaten, they wouldn't have scored, and we wouldn't have looked like probably one of the poorest performances in an English football history in the Champions League. Like, what was that performance? Like, if you look at all our performances compared to that, we looked horrible. We looked like we were Tottenham. Like, we bottled that cup. And I don't know, I still believe in the project. I still believe in Pep, don't get me wrong, but he just overthinks stuff. He does too much. And honestly, he needs to just keep it simple, keep the tiki-taka pass and move system going, but just keep it simple and stop trying to flood the box with so many players and get caught on counterattacks, because even if there's a cross coming in, we're the shortest team in Europe, so we can't get headers, even though we do get some headers sometimes. And Chelsea have 5 at the back and a dropping Kante in midfield coming in. They're going to flood the box too. They know exactly we want to go wide, beat a defender, come in, cut the ball back in and score a tap in, a poaching goal. With a Jesus, with a Foden, with a Sterling. And when I knew that we were definitely going to lose the game is when Kevin De Bruyne came off and he was crying. That would have got a lot of bad negative thoughts going through the guys' heads, that, in my opinion, the best player in the team, the captain, and the guy that pulls the strings for everything has just got a broken nose. I think it was a broken nose or a fractured nose, but he had a massive black eye. It shined straight away. So Rudiger didn't mean it, but he did at the same time. He couldn't have got out of the way, but he didn't have to drop the shoulder and really put a big shot on De Bruyne like that. He could have made it, 20-30% less more impactful than that. Where do we go from here? Keep the same in the Premier League. We're dominating the Premier League. We're dominating the Carabao Cup. And we're always getting to the FA Cup final or the game before. So, country-wise, we're going good. Keep going. But European-wise, We need to step up. We need to win this cup. We've spent $1 billion net and there's no Champions League trophy. It's embarrassing, and I'm sick of having it thrown in my face by everyone that our team has spent this much money and we've won nothing in Europe. It's getting annoying, and I do think we will win the cup within the next 3 to 5 years. But when and how, and will it be with Pep? Because as long as he keeps overthinking, overcomplicating, and stuffing up the lineups for the most important games in our history, we're just going to get as far as the semi-finals. We'll never win a cup, even if we do make the final. Because if anyone we were going to definitely beat in this Champions League, was coming down to Porto, Dortmund, or Chelsea. They were the 3 worst teams. I didn't want to verse Real Madrid, I didn't want to verse Bayern, and I didn't want to verse PSG. And any other team after that, I didn't care. But we should have beat Chelsea. We should have performed better. So that was my recap of the Man City versus Chelsea. My next video will be probably a season recap plus what should we do in the transfer window. It's crazy to say that after $1 billion being spent in the last 10 years that we still need to spend more money to compete more and try and secure the only trophy that we somehow can't win. It's like a curse that won't be broken until we spend the most ridiculous amount of money in a transfer window. It seems like we have to go out and buy Harry Kane and buy a world-class left back like an Alphonso Davies or a Tagliafico and put them in the team, but then that still wouldn't probably be enough because Pep would still overcomplicate things. So I don't know what to do in the transfer window at the moment. I know we need a striker and a left back, but it's not going to be as simple as that when, even if we do get those positions, Pep's still going to mash up the system on the biggest days of our life as clubs. But thanks guys for watching. If you want to subscribe and like, this is my first video. I'm going to do a lot more Man City content. Obviously I support Man City, so that's the only team I really want to talk about. But I'll also be doing content on the Euros, World Cups when they come around, and just international competitions and any important news that comes off in transfers or in football news in general. So yeah, like, subscribe if you feel like it, and thanks for watching.